Hey there! Welcome to our sweater weather mini album tutorial featuring a vintage pickup truck shape. And so what I want you to remember is please wait to cut out your pieces. I want you to kind of get a feel for what's going on. You're certainly welcome to work along with me in the video. I think that will be so helpful. Otherwise, you're going to have all these shapes and pieces everywhere. So, at some point, I think you can move forward. But for some of the beginning pieces, I would really like you to either work along with me or at least speed through. And you can set the pace of these tutorials and speed it along and at least see where we're going, right? Okay, so what you're going to need, you need some scissors, and I would suggest having both a large pair and a pair of snips for some detailed cutting because you've got lots of long, lengthy lines that are going to be easier for using a larger pair of scissors. And a craft knife if you want to do the little detail of cutting out and making a little door on the front of your pickup to kind of slide open and see what's behind, what's on the seat inside. And then you need adhesive, and I would say some liquid glue, something like my reptile glue that I either put in small needle nose applicator bottles. I know that art glitter glue has tiny little nozzles. And so, the less glue that you put on, the less buckling and warping that you're going to have of your paper. A good glue stick, I'm really liking the Scotch brand. I think it is working really well. I have not in the past been a big, I have not urged people to use glue stick, but some of these things have so much real estate to put together that I think some is kind of helpful. It'll speed your project along for you. You also might want to use some double-sided tape for some of your project, or maybe you want to use that with a little bit of glue. Whatever works for you. And you want to have something to score with. You'll see in this project, most of it I just use my fingers. In fact, I don't think I ever got out my scoreboard. And also a ruler can be helpful for actually scoring to get your paper to bend where you want it to. And some of these are going to be kind of thick pieces to bend and score. So a ruler really can come in handy, and I'll show you how to use that. And then also a burnishing tool. You can use, if you don't have a good bone folder, you can use the handles of your scissors. You can use an old credit card or gift card, hotel card. Whatever you've got, something like that makes a great burnishing tool. I really do suggest for this project that you have an ink pad and and some kind of an inking tool or even a marker, because the way that this project goes together, you're going to have a lot of edges that you might want to kind of help with, like we always talk about ink being makeup for paper. So you might have some things that you want to kind of cosmetically fix, and I would urge you to do that. And then the project includes ribbons and some little fall charms and other things that you might need. I know there's a Velcro dot that you'll want to have in there, some twine, different kinds of things. But you are certainly free to, did I say some fall charms? You're certainly free to add anything else that you want to make your project yours, because guess what? It's your project. So let's go ahead and get started. To get started on our sweater weather kit, we're going to cut out our front and our back cover for our truck. And when you do this, go ahead and leave some space around this. We're not going to fussy cut. What we want to do is what I call sticker cut. And so it's like, how stickers will have a little bit of a white border around them. So just do that, and you can just go around these and, just decide how you want to do it. But leave enough so that we can go back in, and we're going to flip the other one over and cut around it so that they'll match, because that's how I just like to do it. So just make sure that it's all on here, and then just trim off this white part just like that. So now we've got, all of that is on there. If you were to fussy cut it, none of this would have much stability. So doing it like this, it doesn't detract from anything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these together like this and match them up. And I'm gonna, maybe I will use, let me grab a little paper clip or something here to help hold that together. That sounds like a better idea. And I'm gonna match the front parts of the truck. And let's see how that works. I'm hoping that this will work well, because if we don't have them the same, and I think I've got enough space around that should work. So now I'm just going to kind of follow my edge that I've already created here. And I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, we're going to kind of mimic that shape. If it's off a little bit, I think we're good. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Okay, now we can just trim this off to here. So that's how I would suggest to do that. And it's always better to clip these little things right where you need them instead of trying to pull them. You'll end up tearing and making little rough looking spots if you do that. Okay, so we've got that. And then what we want to do is we want to, and this is purely optional. If you don't want to do this, that's fine. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife here and I'm going to cut our little door open here. So I'm going to make sure it's not sticky. I'm going to cut right along the bottom of the door. All we're doing is releasing the door. So just cut up along this line of the door. Oh my goodness. I don't use an X-Acto blade that often, you guys. Oh, it's not getting cut all the way through. What in the world? So just take your time. Make sure it's lifting up there. And just around the top. We're only going to do the door on the front. We're not going to do the back on the opposite side. Excuse me. And then just down to this section here. Okay. And then this, and just be gentle. So if you need to go back and make any adjustments, you can to get it. There we go. All right. So excellent. Now what we're going to do is we are going to put these little puppies here so that as we open up our truck door, we can see these little guys here. I mean, it's just a little peek at them in there. Okay, so if you're going to do that, and just be careful right here. Okay, there we go. So you just want to make sure that you can see them, but they've got to still be covering up that whole thing. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a little bit of tape so I know where that goes. I'm just going to put that tape there like that on that back side, and now I can make sure to get it where I want it, and it'll stay there, right? Okay. Woohoo! Okay. So now that that is like that, now I'm going to come back in with some glue and put it around the edge. Oh my goodness. You'd think a girl would check her glue before she started recording. Okay, so now we are just going to go up around here, around the door, because we know you can't see any farther than that. So don't be afraid to just put it right around the door. Oh, I missed. Oh my goodness. Boy, that's barely on there. You guys, I need to move this a little bit. I know we had plenty of space, but, well, now I got glue on it. Nothing like recording and having yourself do all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Okay. All right. Okay. It's going to be sandwiched in between another paper anyway, so I'm just going to leave that. I thought it was sticking out across the top there, but we're good on that. Okay. It might have a tiny snippet just right here on this little corner. I almost can't see it from the front, but I can see it from the back. Okay, now we're good. And so now this is going to be where we are going to score these, and this is going to be kind of the back. It's going to be the spine, so to speak. So we're going to go ahead and score these along these lines right here between the, you know, and you can either use your fingers, you can use some kind of a score tool. If you've got the edge of a, you know, a squared off flat edge on a table, you can use that. Whatever you have is going to be fine. Just so you get those down there, and just do it real gently. And then take something, even if you don't have a bone folder or something, just take the back side of your scissors so that you can get a good crease. Okay? There we go. And now we're going to do this. I like to make the part that's going to be my front, I like to have that to where it's got our folded edge. So I'm going to put mine together this way. So the right side is going to go over this left one. And I'm just going to put some glue on here. And you can use, you know, double-sided tape if you want to. I would suggest a little bit of glue, even if you do that. And now while it's still, let me just kind of put that together. It looks good. I'm liking that. I think we're good. And if you want to use a little bit of ink and distress your edges, it's always a good time to do that as you go along and work on your project. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of ink. Just kind of pull that together. Then we've got, it just kind of gives it a finishing touch, I think. It's not necessary at all. If you don't like inking edges, you certainly don't have to. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to finish that up real quick and be right back. The other thing about inking your edges is look how that pulled this together. See, it just kind of, you know, brought that together so it doesn't look so separate and where nothing else is that white down here. Another thing about inking edges is if you've got a little bit of white where you didn't get close enough to where you cut out, it will cover that up and kind of hide that. So I went ahead and I even inked both sides of my folds. So we've got, you know, some ink on the spines. And so now we're ready for the next part. And what we're going to do is we're going to use these two sections here, the ones that are kind of a long rectangle with a glue tab, and they have two of the two prints. So I'm going to get those cut and we'll start next. So our next step is we're going to take each of these and they need to be scored along this little, the glue tab here. So I'm just going to fold that there. And we're going to fold them in half. And I'm going to first try to just bump it up here, and I'm hoping that is in the middle. Yep, that works. You just always want to make sure that your paper is not in the way of any folds, because that is just not good. Okay, there we go. So now we're just going to glue these, and I'm just going to use some glue stick on here and a tiny bit around the outside of some liquid glue to make sure that it will stick for some stability. Ooh, my goodness, first I had trouble with it coming out. Now I feel like it's almost out. So just fold that back in and just give it a good press. Make sure you've got it adhered really well. The same on the other side. Oops. You've heard me say for years that I don't like using glue stick because of the I just don't think that it holds long term as well as liquid glue does. But you know, for something like this to help get it stuck down in the middle, I think we're pretty good. Maybe use a little bit because I know I didn't cover all of that with my glue stick. Okay, just fold this down. Okay, now then we are going to put this inside of our truck. We're going to open our truck foundation back up, and these are going to go like this. Actually, I need one of them to go this way. So one is going to go here against where the front part of this goes. So you're going to want to have that one like this up here and glue it this way. And then the other one will go the other direction against the other section. Just like that. And you might want to decide which way, which of these you want to use. These next two sheets right here are going to be the inside covers of our truck foundation, okay? So you can lay these out and decide which way you want those to go. You know, do you want this one here like this, or do you want it with this? You know, so just decide which you want to show together. And I don't know, I think I'm going to put this one on the front cover. I don't know, maybe since it's sweater weather, maybe I'll put that one first. Oh, I like that better, because then this will be the flap that shows against that. I like that better. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this glued down. And again, if you want to use some double-sided tape to help you get a good grab first, you can always do that. Well, now I got that on the wrong side. Now I got it on the wrong side, people. That's okay. No problem. Okay, so again, we want this to match up to this crease right here, and match it up along the bottom here. Make sure that your fold still folds where it needs to. There we go. That'll work. Oh my goodness. Get that opened back up. Almost glued my whole flap down, you guys. Real crafting, right? Real crafting. Put this one down here. Make sure it folds well. There we go. And now what we're going to do is cover these. And on those same pages that the little flaps were with the little pockets. And so you can take these and then just decide where you would like to have those. So let's see, if we're going to put this one over here, I think that would look kind of cute. So you're just going to put your little pockets. I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of ink on the edges here. I always like to add a little ink to the edges of the top edges of pockets. It just helps them, it just defines them a little bit more against whatever the other paper is that you've got. I mean, obviously when you've got two different patterns, they show up, but I just think it helps indicate that it's a pocket, right? So there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these pockets on. And always, if you hold the side that doesn't need glue on your pockets, that's an easy way. You don't get glue on that finger, and you remember not to put glue on that section. So here we've got that one. Flip it over. What else have we got? We've got a nice variety here. Oh, I like that. Oh, here, let's do it like this. Okay. It always helps to kind of lay them out and decide where you want to put them before you glue them on. Just take a minute and look at them. Decide what you like, how you want those patterns to show up together. It just takes the tiniest amount of this glue. And our last one. Just right like that. And we're done with that part. And before we move on to put the covers in, you might want to kind of reinforce these, the top edges here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my scrap paper here that I've used to cut off, and I'm just going to put a little bit up in there. Actually, let's just cut it kind of in half here. And because that sticks up so far, we want to be able to, you know, make sure that our little folio gets, our little mini album, whatever you want to call it, that it gets used, right? Now, if you use a glue that is not too, that it doesn't take a lot of glue, you're not going to have a lot of problems with, you know, wrinkling. I just hardly ever have, I just never put enough glue on that it really causes that much of a, you know, of an issue. But part of that is because this is, ooh, my little thing came out here. It's poking me. So what was I saying? Because most liquid glue like this, white glue, is a water-based product, you've got to be careful, because if you put too much in it, it gets wrinkly, right? So when you don't use a whole bunch, you're not going to have that problem. So just kind of push it up there. And now we've got some stability that we've added to that. And you would be surprised when you use glue like this, it will actually kind of bond and make that a tighter fit and a stronger bond with that paper anyway. Okay, so I'm going to cut off that edge. I don't think we really, well, I am going to cut the bottom off so I can see exactly where. I don't want to have to cut too much off the bottom, so we're just going to put this on that side. I'll just do the other one while I'm at it. So this one I need to cut this side off. Well, it wouldn't matter, right? It's a plaid. I can turn it either direction. So that wouldn't really have mattered. But now, if I don't want to cut all of them off, now I know which side to use for the bottom. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we are going to take this. I'm going to use some glue sticks so I can get some quick coverage on here. And we're going to take it clear over here to the side. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to use a little bit of my liquid glue around the edge. You can do however you would like. Okay. Just run a little bit all around the edge. Give it a nice seal. The one thing about this is you're not using enough of this glue that you have to, it dries pretty quick too. So this is that reptile glue that I'm always using. So we'll put it over here. And then maybe just a little squiggle inside. And now we're just going to bump this up right to our fold line. And again, like I always say, make sure it's still folding. And then just give it a really good press with your bone folder, like your scissors, whatever you've got, credit card, if you're an old credit card. How many of you have an old credit card, or maybe a hotel room key, or you know, a gift card? A depleted gift card is good too. So now that still works just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side real quick. Get that on. I really am happy, you know, and I tell you what, these Scotch, now this one was different. It's called wrinkle free, and I don't know, I wish that Scotch had a better comparison, you know, or had a chart that was a comparison of their adhesives, but they don't. I wish they did. Beacon products do, and that's who makes like Fabri-Tac, Fabri-Fix, 3-in-1. They have a whole line of adhesives, and they have a great chart that tells you the kinds of things that the different glues are best used on. And I just think that is, you know, wonderful that they have done that. I'm gonna have to put more glue in this thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and bump this up here. Make sure your bottom wheels are covered there. Give it a bend to make sure it'll bend. And then any of these places that are, you know, showing up white, you can always go in there and add some ink on there. So that's, you know, that is a handy thing. Like we always say, our ink can be like makeup for for our projects. Now we're just going to flip these over and trim around them. So just get yourself your scissors and get them all trimmed up. Now what you might want to do is take some of this and cut it closer, so that you're not fighting with these big chunks of paper, and that might be easier. And then you can save your big scraps here, because that's quite a bit. You might want to do something with those pieces. So I'm just gonna, oops, that didn't get, with my needle nose little applicator, though, I can go back in and add a little bit of glue to that. I'm having trouble going that direction. See, and this is why I said it's kind of nice if you go ahead and trim a bunch of the bulk of this paper off so you can get around it easier. There we go. I'm probably just going to use my smaller scissors for this. It'll just be easier to trim. So now you're just kind of, now you're just going to follow your line that you've already done. You know what? I don't even know why I inked this before, because I'm going to come back and hit it again with my ink, because I'm most likely going to have some little white edges that stick out from here. But I might not. I might get lucky. I might not. Of course, I might want to ink it on the other side anyway. So, and that's probably the better idea. You could, when you ink it on from the other side, you're already going to have your ink out. And if you want to give a little touch up to any places on this side, you've already got your ink out. So we're just going to trim, trim, trim. Okay. So I'm just going to keep working on that, and then I'll be right back. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these, the truck shapes, and so you've got one that says 1A and 2A, and you're going to take those and do those together, and then 3A and 4A. And so you want to get these all cut out, and then we're going to assemble those. And one thing you can do is on the back of them, so that you remember like which is which, you might want to just, jot that down. So this is 1A and 2A, and your pieces are big enough that, you'll be able to see those, and it's going to be covered up so it won't matter, but it'll help you know which sides were designed to go together. So once you have your sections cut out, and you're going to have 8 pieces, so you take, one that's an A and a B, and it really doesn't matter. You can arrange them however you want to. So you're going to have a 1A and a 1B, and then you're just going to use these same little glue tab areas here and get these together, okay? Just like that. And it doesn't really matter which one goes on top of the other. This is going to become your spine. So you just want to match those up like that. And then once you have 2 sets of these together, you're going to flip them around and then join them like this. Okay? So just get your glue out again and just get it on here. And I might just do one side at a time here. And again, I'll just use my glue here around the edge to kind of seal it up. I am not going to, and you can see how even glue stick that's water-based will start causing some wrinkling and warping. Okay, so I just want to kind of line it up all the way across here before I stick it down real great. Oops. Uh-oh. Well, let me try again. And remember, ink is our friend. Well, that's okay. I can either trim that off or go back in and ink it, which I'll probably be inking it anyway, right? I'm doing all the rest of this inking everywhere. Okay. I just like to make sure my edges are gonna stay tight together. Okay, and then just smooth that out with whatever you've got. There's so many things that you can use to just get all of the, get it all smoothed out across everything. I used to have a great big spatula kind of a thing, and I don't know where it is. It's gone into hiding. Now you can see this is not, exact, and you can trim that if you want to, But let me show you, let me remind you how quick that is to take care of with just a little bit of ink. And even though, you know, this is black and my ink is brown that I've been using, well, it hasn't covered that up as much as I would have hoped. But, you know, and then you can either decide, do you want to trim that white part off or just ink it and leave it? You know, it just depends. It depends on your level of, you know, acceptance of handcrafted goods, right? So here's another little place down here. You just hit it with a little bit of ink and it's, you know, it just kind of recedes back there and you just don't notice it that much. So over here, here's the same thing. You can just ink these. Now this is a lot more forgiving when you're on these lighter colors because you add that ink to those. This black one was a little bit more difficult. But, you know, instead of doing all of that trimming back around to try to make it, you know, super exact, just use a little bit of ink. And you know what? If you don't have ink tools and things like this to use, you can even use a marker. Just use a marker along the edge. Just take it and, you know, run it along the edge. And what I'm talking about would be, I don't have a good color right here to show you, but let me find something. Let me see. Well, here's even a sharp. Oh, here's something with a better tip on it. When you've got something that's got a good tip, sometimes if you've got a brush tip, that works nice because then you can just, all you'd be doing is just sliding it along. So you could just like kind of slide it along here and, you know, do your edges like that. Or use the other end. Same thing, you know, you're just gonna wipe them across here and just edge it a little bit. But I much prefer using some ink. I think, you know, like ink pads, I think they are a lot easier to deal with. So you just want to do that and then you'll have three sets like that, or two sets. So I'm going to get the other one ready now. Okay, I got all mine done. As you can see, by the time you're putting a long strip together, you know, it can get, you know, out of whack, and then you've ended up, you know, with a little bit on one side. So I mean, I lined up this side and it was fine, but since I'd already put these two pieces together, you know, by the time I smoothed it out across here, it got kind of messed up. So, you know, it's your choice. You can either go back in and trim this off or see how much you can get covered with the ink. And since all of this is kind of light, I might first just go in with the ink and see how that does. And then if, you know, if it still is just really too much and I don't like it, I can always go back in and trim that part off. Full disclosure, I couldn't take it. I trimmed it off. Okay, so now then what you want to do is you are going to score on these. And let's see, where's my metal ruler? One thing I like to do on things like this is I'll use my metal ruler because I don't, you know, you're trying to score through too many things if you're, you know, scoring, because you're doing double layers, and maybe even down in there a little bit farther you've got your glue tabs. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to get some help from a ruler, you want to move your ruler away from where you want it scored, because just the bending of this is going to be, it just won't work right on the very line. So you have to pretty much move it a little bit over. And this is, I mean, this is really tight, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, just get it started. And I got a little bit wrinkly there. I probably should have waited till this was more dry. So I'm going to move it off of that area and just start bending it. So see, look how far away I am from, you know, I'm about, I don't know, what, maybe 1/16 of an inch off. That one did a lot better. I got the other one too close. And, you know, it could be where the glue tab is inside there anyway, on the other side. So again, I'm just going to move it off about, I don't know, that might even be closer to 1/8 of an inch. Oh, this one did a lot better. See, if you do it from the get-go, you have a better chance of having it bend where you want it. So just off to the side. And again, you know, if you've got a good scoreboard or something that you want to use and you can do right along that line, you know, feel free to do that. Not everybody has a great scoreboard that they like, or even have one, I guess I should say. Okay, so now what you're going to do, now just go ahead and fold those over and really give them a good press. So you've got a good score. And this really is important for the, as you put it together, and how flat that it will lay inside the book. So just go ahead and really give it a good press. You want those to be nice and tight. You leaving? You got the baby in her kennel. Okay, we'll see you later. Have a good day. Well, I looked up and I had forgotten to resume my video. So all you need to do is take your pages and lay them out, kind of decide if you like which way that you've got them lined up here. And this is going to be the spine here. Now I don't even know if I showed how to crease them. My goodness, I don't remember where I left off. Basically, you're just going to be folding these on those score lines. You know, now I don't even know. I hate it when I mess up my video, you guys, but I've spent so much time on this, I really don't want to go back through. So just this is one of the ways you can do it. If you don't have a scoreboard to use something like this, if you got a nice ruler, take it and put it about a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch in, and then begin folding it. Just do it real gentle so you can make sure that it's going to fold good. So again, on this side, when you get those folded, be sure and crease them really well with your, whatever you're using to crease with, because that'll help it, that's going to help the structure, okay? And then you're going to lay them down in the middle of your foundation piece that you already used. So you've got this part. I went ahead and I inked right here because that's still all white. And now you're just going to lay these in here and just kind of, make sure that they're not sticking out on the sides. These sections are smaller than the outside sections. So, it's a little bit easier to get them lined up so they're not going to be sticking out where you don't want them. And then just line them up. Now what I did was I took these and I just used a couple of clips to make sure that I had them in place where I wanted them. And then I just took my crocodile. Now, if you don't have a crocodile or a tool that can do a whole lot of pages at once, you'll probably want to do one section and then mark it with your pencil and just do your next section. And so, like, if I still had this piece and I punched holes in here, and then I can put this here and make some little marks here, so I know where to punch the next section. Like, this would be my next section that wasn't punched. Okay, oh my goodness, I hope that is not so confusing. Anyway, now we're gonna get some ribbon to bind it together. So it's up to you whether you want your binding on the outside or the inside. And one thing about this is you could use these as a template and you could make more pages and put inside. All you would have to do is to untie your ribbon and just layer them inside here. So if you wanted, more pages, you could do a few more just like that. And so, let's see. Now actually I'm gonna put this though, just like this, and that makes me wonder if I shouldn't have done that before I did my holes, you guys. Okay. But the way that we do this binding, it's kind of forgiving anyway. So do I want my little ribbon coming out the back with some little tails? I could. That would be kind of cute. Or you could tie it inside. I would just tie a knot. I wouldn't do like a bow inside. I would just tie it inside. Maybe I'll just do that. So I'm going to do it from, let's see, I'll go in one side and then to the outside and then back. Oh my goodness. If I could get a bunch of these at the same time, it would make me happy. And I'll pull those in there. Well, I've just got two there. And then I'll put it back through here. Line my holes up so I can see them. And give this a little tight twist. Try and get it through there. If you want to add a little bit of glue to the edge of your ribbon to help it get started, or I mean to keep it from fraying, you'll have a better edge to work with. Poke it in there so I can grab it. There we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to close it up like this and see if I can't make a little difference there. Now all you have to do is just tie it, you guys. And I'm just going to make a little knot. And you can see, these have a little bit of wiggle room. So don't worry about, you know, how straight they are. Now you're going to have plenty of ribbon. If you wanted to do a bow, you'd have room to do a bow. I'm struggling. I'm just going to do that. And then I'm just going to trim mine off here. And if you haven't seen me do this before, this is what I do on some of this. This organza ribbon is really, it frays really bad. I love how it, you know, I love the way it looks. And it doesn't get real wrinkly. And I just think it looks so, it ties easy and tags and everything else. But it frays easy. So if you'll just take a tiny bit of glue and just tap it here, it'll keep it from fraying. Just like that. Okay, so now you've got your pages bound together. Your next step is to get ready with all of these pockets that'll go on these long truck things. Now, I do want to reiterate that, you know, depending on what you're going to be using your little journal for, you might not want to put as many pockets in. If you're just making this for fun and you plan to use lots of tags in it and have little places to tuck things in and stuff, then of course, you know, you'll love having all of these little pockets for everything. But if you want to have more space for photos or things that you're going to adhere to this afterwards, then, you know, you have to decide how many pockets that you want to have. And maybe you just want to get your pockets ready for now, and then whatever you're doing to complete your thing or whatever you're using it for, then you have the option to put those in after the fact. But I don't want you to put all of, you know, to get everything ready and then feel like, oh, I wish you would have said something. I wouldn't have put all of those pockets in everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to be back in a second. I'm going to get these ready and we'll have them ready to, you know, to put in here. We'll intersperse them on our truck pages. And then along with these pockets, you'll want to cut these out too. These are some side tuck pockets. And so let's cut those out and ink them up if you want to. And then we'll have all of our pockets ready to be able to select where we want to put them. And on the same, I should mention that on the same page where these little tuck pockets are, here's some things like here, and these are really easy to do because then you can, they're lined, they've got these shadow outlines to where you can basically do the sticker cut on them and you don't even have to mess with doing it too fussy. Now when you're cutting some of these out, here's mine. I did not do all of these little, you know, zigzaggy things. I made mine more gentle and rounded around the items. As you can see, you know, you don't have to do like all the little bumps and curves. The same thing here. So that's just, you know, it looks pretty on the paper, but you do not have to do all of that. Okay, I'm going to take these, I'm just going to set them off to the side. So now we've got all of our pockets. And now what I think is important to do is decide where you want all of your pockets. And just, you know, do that up front. Oh, I don't really like that because that's already there. I don't know, just, you know, you just go through here and decide where you want your pockets. You can use these pockets as well. You can even combine them and make them, you know, you can layer them if you want to. I don't really like that one like that, but, you know, whatever you want to do. If you want most of this to be open and then just use a tuck spot along here, you could do that on either side. Actually, that would go either way. However you want to put your pockets, just decide, you know, check it all out, see what you like. And, you know, just run through them, kind of place them, see what you want to do. And, you know, if you run across something you just do not care for, I could live with that. I mean, there's lots of patterns here. If you're not a person who likes patterns on patterns, this might not be for you. I don't know. Now, this one, I think that would look cute there. And let's see here. What are we going to put in here? I don't know. Let's see. We want to plaid on plaid. And like I said, we don't even have to do that. Maybe we decide we want to put something else. We'll just put a tuck pocket along there. It just is up to you. And then we are going to have another little, we've got another little envelope here And maybe if you wanted to, you could actually put this together and glue it onto one of the pages if you don't want, you know, all the pockets on. So that's another option too. Let me see. I think I'm going to go ahead and glue these on the way that we've got them sitting right here. So I'm just going to put those on. But yeah, this gives you lots of options. You know, either you can put your tuck spots on, do it like that. Actually, this would go, you could put this one on here like this too. And then you've got things you could tuck in from the side. So I'm going to be back in a second, and I'll do another flip through with what I selected. And again, when you are putting your little pockets on or your tuck spots, make sure you don't have them in the way of your fold. Okay, you still need to make sure you've got your fold working properly right there. Hope I didn't get this on right. I got it down too far. Thank goodness for liquid glue. Here is the here's how I did mine. This is, so here's the inside, and so I'll just walk through and show you the way that I laid it out. It's kind of fun. I like this because, you know, it kind of pulls that together, I think. And this one I didn't do a long pocket. I just did the side tuck pocket here. I did another one on this side. I got those two. Another tuck pocket here. Now this is what I did on this one. I pulled it clear over to the front edge, and then I just need to snip these off here around the corners here, or the rounded edge, I guess it is, not a corner. And there you go. That's what we've got there. Now, while I'm working on, I'm ready to do a couple of these pockets or envelopes. So I got this one already cut out, and on this one, when you are doing these, you know, small, and this is like fussy cutting, basically you're doing these small detailed cuts, and so the easiest way to do is to take it, little sharp scissors are going to be your best friend for doing these kinds of cuts, the detail work. And the easiest way to do it is to not be trying to always turn your scissors, but if you'll turn your paper. And this is one of the best tips I know for doing detailed cut work on paper, is you just are going to turn that paper, and it just is so much easier than trying to get all of the detail cut like just by maneuvering your scissors all the time. So I think that you will really find that a lot easier to be able to cut like that. Now that we got this cut out, then we are going to fold along this gray colored square. This is going to be the back of your little tiny envelope. And then if you want to ink all of that, then I would just ink, you know, all of these outer edges as well. It just kind of brings everything together. And the little edges. It just, you know, when you have some ink on these kinds of edges, I think it just really even enhances, you know, the detail of it. So just ink, 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 ink. Well, now that I started this, might as well finish this one, right? Okay, and now then we're going to punch holes where these little dots are. We're going to punch a hole in that. I like to have something that I can punch, you know, small holes, and I mean, even if it's just, you know, single paper punches, hole punches, I mean, they make them in different sizes, and I really think it's good to have, you know, something that's small, something that's, you know, medium size. Sometimes you even need something that is larger, right? So we got that going, and we've got these little cards right here that will fit right in this. So here we've got our little envelope. We've got our little cards that'll fit right in there. These are little maple leaves, aren't those cute? So again, sweater weather project. So there's our sweaters. Okay, now then, you want these two flaps across from each other. You want the ones with the holes right on top. So put a little piece of twine through here. And then we're just going to cinch it closed. You can tie a little bow or just whatever you want to do. Well, you want to be able to open it, so probably really is best to tie a bow with it. If you tie it in a knot, you can't get into your little envelope. Okay, so there we go. So now you can decide if you want to tuck this in a pocket, a tuck spot. If you want it, you actually could, you know, glue it. Whoops, I'm out of the frame. You actually could glue it onto, you know, one of these other pages. So whatever you want to do with that. And then this one again, you're going to score around the edges of this. I'm having trouble with that one. Hang on a second. That one is a little difficult. And you know, if you're ever having any trouble with these things, I really urge you to get out a ruler, because that will really kind of help bend it where you want it. Whoops, I got it so tight to the table I can't even get under there. And I guess you don't even have to have it on the table. So I can just push this here and it starts to bend where I need it. And I don't want it that way, but now I have that score started and I can do it. So again, I'm just going to do this. I'll just hold my ruler up here. It's so tiny. It's so tiny, you guys. And then remember, you don't want to put your ruler right on your place you need scored. The depth, and it's the depth of that ruler that keeps it from, you know, being, well, it's just the depth of the ruler that makes the difference as to whether it's going to close right where you, I don't know what I'm saying. I hope you understand. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now these, once you get those folded over to the inside, you want to crease them. Now you're going to put some glue, goes here. This is not right. I don't think that's right. If you're going to fold this has to be up here farther. You know what? I'm going to cut this off like right about here. I'm going to round it, but I'm going to cut it closer to this line here. And you can make these little round edges yourself. You don't have to have a special tool. There we go. Alrighty. Now we'll just get a bit of glue. Oh, you guys, I left that uncapped long enough. It's starting to have a problem. Okay. And just fold those down like that. And now you still have plenty of other little tags, and this is like a little folder. These fold in half. It's like a little journal card. Those are great. Tags. These things look like postage stamps. So we've got all kinds of other fun things to add on here. Now these little things that say Farm Fresh pumpkins, they were made to go on the sides of the truck. So you can put those on there if you want to. If you don't want them, you do not have to. So those would be right here. And so I'm going to cut mine out and put those on. Okay, so I cut those out and I inked it up a little bit around its edges, and I'm just going to put it right here on the front of the truck, right there, and then one on the back, because you got to have your sign on both doors, right? You got to have it on the driver's side and the passenger side. There we go. Okay, so honestly, the whole rest of, you know, everything, your tags and whatever you want to do and where you want to put it, that's just up to you. And here's some journaling cards. You could stick in some of those pockets. Those would fit right in there if you wanted those. Or even to take those and fold them in half. You could write them, you can fold them in half and put them in any of the pockets. And so, I mean, just lots of fun little tags and other things to work with here. Another thing that you can do is, like on some larger tags, you can take your tag, and if you've got one of these other fun little things that you want to, you can actually punch a hole in here, punch a hole in both of them, and then run your ribbon or twine through both of them, and then you make this kind of a paper dangle thing, and so that can be fun. And always, anything that you can add that adds a little bit of movement to your project is always kind of fun. So so that's about all. That's for the, we got through all of the structure of the truck and getting that all put together. And so, where you put the pockets and the tuck spots and whatever you want it to do like that, that's just up to you. Or, if you don't want to put any of those pockets, you don't have to. Maybe you think mostly you're going to use yours for kind of a scrapbook type thing, like a little mini album scrapbook. And, you can certainly do that. But, or maybe you want to just add some of these in here. Maybe you want to glue some of these down here to decorate some of these pockets. That would be cute too. So whatever you want to do, it's your project, you guys. Oh, that's kind of cute. I actually kind of like that. so there we go. And we'll want to be able to make sure that our little envelope stays closed, right? So I'm going to use one of these little Velcro tabs, and they've got a little liner. They're sticky already, so they've got a little liner piece on both sides. So we're going to take one of them off, put it up here on the top edge. Make sure wherever you're putting it that it's going to, close and reach down in here on your paper, that you're not putting it on some kind of an open spot. And then you just take the other liner piece off and then fold it down, and then it's stuck. There you have it. Now your envelope is closed, and you didn't have to do much anything. Isn't that easy? I love using those little Velcro dots. So there they are, and you can hear them. Listen to them. Okay, so there we have the little envelope. And again, you can just stick that wherever you want to. And then look at what a difference it'll make when I add a tiny bit of ink on the edge of this. It just blends right into itself, and it's hard to even know that it's a pocket like that. Or not a pocket, it's an envelope. That it's a flap that opens is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now, look when we fold that down. I mean, it just makes it look more noticeable, right? Alrighty, so like I said, the rest is up to you, and you just put all your tags. You just do all your things. I'll get some tags ready, and we'll do a final walkthrough here next. Okay, are you ready for the big reveal? Here it is. So we've got our front cover. I'll just show you what I did real quick. I put some of these little things here, like these would be fun to, if you were going to do some journaling or something, you might want to put like a who it is, or place, or whatever, if you've got some pictures. And these are big enough, I think you could tuck some pictures just in the pockets. You wouldn't even have to adhere them down. That would even be kind of fun. And so, I just use it as like a little label, and just some of our little places here. And I put that little pumpkin there. Here's some of those things that look like postage stamps. I did not adhere them down all the way, because you could, even use that as another tuck spot. So just lots of little tags and goodies. This is one of the cards. It's kind of like, it reminds me of a recipe card, but you could, tuck some notes in here, or lists, or whatever you wanted to do. Here's this little envelope that we did, and I've got a couple of little cards tucked in here. So they open up, little cards. Those were those cards. And I just put those in here and sealed it up, and it'll close all the way. Must not have gotten it in there good this time. Of course, the second time doing it. And I just tucked it in this pocket. Like I said, if you wanted to leave something out, you could even, put it off to the side and just glue it down if you wanted to. And all kinds of little, tags tucked in here. All these tags do not have anything on the back, so you could use those as journaling spots, or whatever. Now these, even though this sticks out, remember our truck shape, our foundation piece goes up higher, so you can tuck some of these taller cards in and just make sure they're in there, and then they're still hidden back there behind. I used another one of those for another little label. Here's our other little packet that we had the other little cards in, our little envelopes. And just lots of things. Here again, I just used these, and I did not poke those all the way down, because you could stick something in there and use that as an additional little tuck spot. And see, I never did decide where to put this one, so I put it there. So there you go. Another little card like this, and another one of these. So see, I think this is about the size of a picture, a photograph. Let me measure it here. This is about 3.5 by 5. So no, A lot of pictures are, but you know what? A lot of times you can cut down some of the excess on a photo and get it down to about that size. So there we go. There is our sweater weather pickup truck. And peek in there, we got those same puppies hiding out in there. You guys, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing what you do with yours as well.